Hello and welcome to the Don't Mess with Our Kids podcast. My name is Jenny Donnelly and I am with Shauna Damberg. And today's guest is going to absolutely blow your mind. I cannot wait to bring her on. But first, let's do this. This podcast is about a grassroots movement called Don't Mess with Our Kids, and it has spread like wildfire all the way through Peru. They were able to totally change their nation, turn hearts back to God. And so here in America, this is what we're doing. We're saying, don't mess with our kids. And we know that we're in good company with you on here. It's very easy to be part of this movement. You're doing it right now by engaging in this podcast. But would you subscribe, like, and share this podcast? Because there are people out there that are going to be transformed by today's conversation. So, without further ado, I want to introduce to you a woman that I met in Arizona. We were actually at the Capitol, and there was a session going in for abortion laws, and there was just a lot of attention around that recently in Arizona. And I met this woman there, and her name is Mayra Rodriguez. And she began to tell me her story. And I said, we have to have you on our podcast. Girl, what you are representing and what you're doing now, but where you've been is blowing my mind. And so, what I want to do today is I want to bring on our guest, Mayra Rodriguez. Thank you so much, Myra, for being with us today. I can't wait for everybody to hear your story. Let me just share just a little bit before you jump in here. Myra is the state director for Moms for America in Arizona. And she is a part of an organization called And Then There Were None. And she explained that to us.
Yeah.
And then there were none. None of what? Nobody in the industry of abortion who were willing to go through any type of procedure or assist in abortion. And then there were none. Can you imagine this? What an incredible vision. And so she is the global outreach coordinator and for this organization, and she helps people in the abortion industry exit the abortion industry. This is amazing. And as you probably guessed it, she was one that left the abortion industry. So you're going to share your story today, Myra. You're going to share what you're doing now and how we can even be encouraged on how God is still on the scene with as many babies who've been killed through abortion, murdered through abortion. We know that God is still moving actively to turn legislation and to pull these workers out of the clinic. So, Myra, thank you so much for being with us today. Can you just start by sharing your story from a couple decades ago? You were working, as I understand it, as a director for Planned Parenthood. So just start off with your story. Tell us what happened. And I just can't wait for everybody to hear this.
Thank you so much for having me. What a pleasure. I like what you guys have been doing. I've been following Don't Mess with Our Children, No Te Metas con Mis Hijos in Peru, right? So, what a great organization. Why? Well, I'm going to do the short version of my story because as a Mexican, I can talk, right? I started working for Planned Parenthood in Arizona with the idea of helping women, right? I grew up wanting to be a doctor in my home country, Mexico. I moved to this beautiful country when I was 18. Obviously, I couldn't become a doctor here, so I settled for the next best thing for me, which was working in the healthcare field, right? Planned Parenthood opened their doors. They inspire me, like they like to do to empower women, as an immigrant, right? At the beginning, I started just as a medical assistant, being the team leader in one of the facilities, and I quickly became a director, right? And then now I'm here in the communities, engaging with women of Hispanic women, immigrants, right? Empowering them, right? One thing I like to tell people is that I was groomed into thinking that I needed to help my women be liberated from their kitchen, right? I
Wow.
was training them how to hide their birth control. I trained them how to hide their abortions from their husbands, told them that it was okay to do that, right? That was their body. And no one can say anything. And your husband has no word on you deciding if you want to have that third child or not. Right? Something I'm not proud, but why I speak this way. I need people to understand the deep, right? The deep of the grooming. I was also part of going into schools and indoctrinating children. That's the right word today. See, before I thought I was helping them, sex educating them, right? By
Mm.
teaching a seventh grader how to use a condom and a banana instead of their parents being talking to them first about it, right? Not caring if someone has done it, because that was my job, right? And I thought I was doing something for society. So in all this time selling the idea of abortion. Why do I say selling the idea? See, before I was giving women a choice. Not really, because I was quick to tell them that their choice should be abortion, right? And upsell the
Mm,
abortion idea, make it seem easy, right? Easy,
okay.
15 minutes, take a pill, right? Procedure, and in 15 minutes you'll be going home. Your life can move on, right? When in reality, that's not what it happens, right? Little by little, my eyes start seeing things, right? Which that's when I became the director of the biggest abortion facility in Arizona. So just so people understand, because I know a lot of people are like, 17 years there, lady, and you didn't see this. Well, for 16 years, I'm working on the preventive side, right? And
Okay,
then,
tell us about that, the preventative side, because you did explain
right.
this to me when we were talking a little bit. Can you explain you were working on the preventative side? What is that?
Well, it was the site that promotes birth control, that promotes, well, woman exams. And then I remember your eyes when I told you we were already doing transgender services. You were like, what? Like, this is 2009, and we were doing transgender services, right? Our paperwork had already been changed to all this nonsense that you see today, right?
Mm,
Uh, were you born as a male? Are you identified as a female today? That paper, I have seen it since 2009. It's nothing new to me because it has been going on, right? Um, so the preventive side, the STD treatments, right? The selling HIV testing, right? I remember that I used to go to Pride festivals, and my supervisor will be, hey, go ahead and take a bunch of HIV test kits and then give them for free because those are our future customers. We were told we have to be tabling at this event because that's where our customers come from, right?
mm,
They know that those were for sure customers because of their type of lifestyle, right? So,
mhm,
and that's what I was doing. And while doing this preventive side, right, I used to argue with people on the sidewalk. I used
mm,
to see people on the sidewalk and I'll be like, I save more babies than you do. I give them birth control, right?
mm.
Like, what are you doing here, right? I do more than you do. And I strongly believe that. I strongly believe that by providing birth control to women, I was helping, not with the abortion thing, right? Like,
Mm,
and then I'm giving them a choice. My mother is very faithful. We're Catholic, right? I was born and raised Catholic. My mother's Catholic, and I remember that I used to tell her, Mom, I give them a choice. If they choose abortion, it's not my fault, right? But leaving out the part where I made abortion seem very easy
mm.
and something that 1 in 4 women do it, right? So it's normal, right? It's
Yeah,
a
you
normal
just used to
procedure.
tell them it's fine. 1 in 4 women do this. They do this and they just go on with their life. You're gonna be fine. So I like what you said, how the choice part really isn't a choice, that there is a influence towards abortion, and it's not a choice, even though it's called pro-choice.
One thing though, I just want to highlight right now because I think, like for me, I know you work with Abby Johnson's ministry, and I want you to talk about that in a little bit. We're still on your story, and it's so good. We got to unfold it. But her movie, Unplanned, I remember seeing that movie and having such a heart for the first time for women and men who are in the industry,
Yeah,
because what I realized is you really did think you were doing the right thing. You really did think you were helping people. And I want people to hear that right now
mhm,
if they've never understood that before, because if we're going to ever change someone's mind, if we're ever going to help somebody that's in that industry, we have to understand that fact. They
yeah.
think they're helping people. They've been deceived. We're not to be angry at them. And, just that's not going to work. So thank you for sharing that. And yeah,
Yeah, that's so good. That's so interesting. Right. Because you weren't in there going, yeah, I'm just gonna, do this evil thing. You were in
no,
there thinking, no, I'm a better person for
this
doing
is good.
this. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. So the people standing on the sidewalk, do you want to pick it up from there? Because when I was in Arizona with you, this woman there, 80 years old, was there. And you said, you called her over into a conversation with us, and her name is Lynn, and she's been standing on the sidewalk of Planned Parenthood all over the nation. Even when she'd go on vacation, she would find a Planned Parenthood. to stand. And she's been doing this since Roe v. Wade was passed, right, in the 70s. And tell us a little bit about her, because I was shocked at this story. She said that she decided she was going to fast chocolate until abortion was no longer available in the nation. And she has not had a piece of chocolate since early 70s, what, 1973? So can you
Yes.
tell us a little bit about the sidewalk? You're walking into work every day. And what are you seeing? You're seeing Lynn. What else is going on? What's going on through your mind? What are you thinking about these people who are standing there asking if you want prayer or assistance or whatever?
It's really funny because I remember her my very first day when I came to apply for the job. I remember that I parked my car, I'm crossing the street, and this lady goes, "Don't go in there. I'm gonna help you." And then I just rush in, right? I'm like, that's crazy, right? Not knowing what is going on. Keep in mind that I knew very little about Planned Parenthood before I started working for them, right? I was told by my friend that worked there, we help women. That's all I needed to know. We help women, we need bilinguals. Great. So I went in and rushed in and asked, "What's with those people on the side? Oh, don't mind them. They have nothing to do. They're just praying." But why are they praying? And then they brought up the abortion part, right? And then they asked me, "How do you feel about abortion?" I said, "Well, I wouldn't have one, but if someone else does, that's their body and that's their choice," right? I remember saying that. And then, so at that moment, I started seeing them, right? I started seeing Lean more frequently. She doesn't remember me from that very first day. But after that, I saw her like for a few months because that was the location I was working at. And she will say, "I'm praying for you," right? And at the beginning, I was like, "Whatever, lady," right? Fast forward, 16 years later, I take over the abortion facility. I know Lean's around because she's very famous inside the doors of Planned Parenthood. They have her picture at the lobby, the employee lobby, which is watch out for this lady, right? Probably they should have, she takes our business away. Uh, but
Wow.
fast forward, I become the director of the biggest abortion facility in 2016. And here I am showing up early, like it's like I'm the new director. I want to set the example, be the first one in the building. So all my employees see me there first, right? Set the example. And to my surprise, I was not the first one. I showed up at 6 a.m. Lynn was already there. I was like, this lady, man, she's committed, right? Now, keep in mind, Arizona gets 118 weather degree. By now, we're already 98 today. It's only May. So there's days on the summer that
She's
it's already
Wow.
110 in the morning, and she's there. And she stands there until every single woman that walk in comes out, and she still tells her when they come out, "I'm still here." That amazes me, right? It's not like she leaves once she saw them going and it's like, "I didn't change anyone's mind. I'm just gonna go home today." She stays there. So when she sees them come out after they had been harmed by that abortion, she says, "We're still here for you if you need healing," right?
Wow.
So I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't get them. For 16 years, I saw them. I argue with them. Okay? If you ever talk to anyone who still prays there, they will tell you I'm the one to blame for really tall bushes that I installed so they couldn't see the cars coming in. That's my fault, right? The movie, if you remember the movie, Abby Johnson used to turn on the sprinklers. I did the bushes, right? Um, I used to argue with them. I remember at the beginning when I took over the abortion facility, she said, "I'm praying for you." I said, "Don't pray for me. Well, go to something else. I'm sure your family needs you more than you being on the sidewalk." I was rude to her. She says I was the nicest one she has ever encountered, right? But I do remember saying rude stuff to her at the beginning. And then she got my name and she keeps saying, "Myra, I'm still praying for you." And I'm like, great, she knows my name now. She won't let me go, right? And but her dedication, to watch them on the sidewalk, I little by little start understanding when I through the video cameras, through the security system, I saw those women that were about to walk in, talk to them, and leave. In a sense, it gave me some sort of relief, right? I remember the abortionist, instead of, I thought, well, if she didn't want to do this, that's good that someone's going to help her, right? One of the abortionists says, "Well,
Wow.
that's good they're taking them away so we won't have a crybaby in the back."
Wow.
Like to them, it was like, that's good because then she would have just been a patient crying, making noise and disturbing the clinic. But in a sense, it was like I get it, right? I get it. I get that to them, even if they change the mind of one person, which amazingly they don't see the result of their effort, because most of the time they just see women coming in, but they don't know that we had people not show up for their appointment, right? That there were people on their schedule that they didn't show up, that maybe because they were praying on the sidewalk, they're like, maybe I'm not doing this. I
Mm.
actually shared with them that one of my employees that I had hired didn't show up to work on her first day. And then when I called her, I said, hey, what happened? Flat tire? Yeah, I was waiting for an excuse. She's like, no, people were praying. I don't think I want to work there.
Wow.
That the
Wow.
people praying there, for whatever reason, it may not have been that she saw abortion wrong, but just the fact that someone praying there said, like, I
Wow.
don't think I want to work there. That was strong, right?
Mm.
Yeah.
And so that's
Wow.
that's how I used to look at them.
So Myra, what was the moment then after that 16 years that something major shifted? You went from the preventative side to what? What happened?
I strongly believe that God put me there for a reason, right? Most people are like, you're dumb, right? Like, a lot of people make comments of, why couldn't they just leave? They could just leave. They don't understand, it's like a cult, right?
Yes.
That once
Mm.
you're in, right? I start seeing what abortion really was. I start seeing that women were getting hurt. As quickly as like 3 months being in charge of that abortion facility, I start calling out the abortionists from harm doing the women. They were getting perforated daily. He was leaving baby parts inside women. And there's the case that brought up all this was the 14-week baby that he forgot the head inside and was already living. And that this was a 19-year-old. She could have died. And when we had an argument, he agreed to do an ultrasound. We found the baby head, but not before he referring to it as, go find the head in the trash. Like, why do you bother me because you're missing a trash? Like, we have plenty. And that's a moment I woke out, called my supervisor, I said, I can't do this. Either you do something about him. Now, keep in mind, I'm still in my head thinking it's just this abortionist that I encounter, right? The rest of the abortion industry shouldn't be this bad. Just bad luck for me, right?
And you had a different position, Myra. Is that right? I'm going to interrupt you really quick. You shifted into a different position because you were on the preventative side. Am I understanding right that you moved now? And now, because for 16 years, you didn't see the baby, you didn't see the actual abortion take place. You didn't see the body parts. You were not that side, right? You were selling the abortion, but you weren't in the actual ins and outs of the procedure. So you shifted, and now you're seeing what's actually happening. Is that what we're hearing?
Right. So for 16 years, I'm the director of 2 non-abortion facilities. And now, 2016, they add me the abortion facility. So now I'm directing 3 centers, 2
Okay.
non-abortion, 1 abortion, right? Now I'm starting looking at the reality of abortion, right?
Wow.
The reality of the women getting hurt. Now it's kind of, now you have been long enough so you can come to the side of the secret club, right? Now
Wow.
you've been here 16 years. Now we're gonna lead you into the secrecy of it, right? Because now I get to see the kind of money that we get from abortion, right? Which it outnumbers the non-abortion facility. Like my deposits will be 20 grand from the abortion and less than $500 from a non-abortion center. So I start seeing the reality of abortion. I start calling out all these atrocities, all these irregulations, all these falsifying of patient charts, not reporting cases, right? Not reporting all these all these things happening to women, and the abortion is just hiding them, right? And obviously they didn't like me. So if you saw the movie, you saw Abby Johnson got Employee of the Year award. I got my Employee of the Year award too in 2016. Now I'm the Enemy of the Year. And obviously, after I complained about him leaving the baby head, they fired me. And I started a lawsuit against Planned Parenthood, being the only lawsuit from an employee making it to trial. And we won that by the grace of God in 2019.
It's huge.
Wow.
That's
That is
amazing.
amazing. So I think one of the things you shared with me when I met you was that you saw like it's so hard to even imagine, honestly, or even talk about, but you saw little baby parts being put in Ziploc bags. The first time you saw that, now, of course, you've been in the non-abortion clinic for this long. Can you describe the moment that you saw the parts of a baby? I mean, do you even have words for that?
I don't. You develop kind of like a shield, right? That you lie to
Mhm.
yourself. That there's no
Yeah.
other way to say it. You lie to yourself. It's like, well, they're in a better life now, right? Or, well, they're better off by not being born. You have heard that from people on the other side, right? They would have just suffered here, right? But it's a hard image to remove from your head. I mean, don't get me wrong. People will be like, well, she was there 17 years. Yeah, I knew. I knew that babies go on Ziplocs and they go in a huge trash bag. It's just not the same knowing that being there and being part of it, right? And now helping the waste management people come and pick up those trash bags full of babies to take them and get disposed with medical waste, right? It is
Mm.
not the same thing, right? You can promote this all you want, but until you have been there and been part of it and seen the damage, not only to the woman, but those baby feet, right? Those baby hands, those arms, those legs, that torso, knowing today that they do feel pain, right?
Mm.
They keep telling you they don't feel anything. It's just a blood clot. It's just this. It's just that. They're not human yet, right? And you can keep lying to yourself and saying that, but the reality, it's that science proves that they did feel pain.
Yeah.
That baby
Mm.
felt pain, and you
Mm.
were part of it. And now it is an image that you cannot undo. It
Yeah.
is something that stays with you forever. And I think for most of us that have left that industry, it's what gets us up every morning to keep doing this.
Yeah. And what you're exposing is not just what the baby is going through, but what the patient is going through, what the mama is going through. You noticed how they were being treated, how these doctors were talking about these women that were going through these abortions, and they're being obviously traumatized, but even the people working there. So, and what it's doing to them and being in this cult like facility and situation. So I love how you're exposing every single person involved in abortion is being harmed, every single one of them. So talk to us about your ministry. And then there were none, which is helping abortion workers leave the industry. And when we were offline, you were talking about how you don't just help them spiritually, which is amazing, but you help them in really practical terms. Like, if I leave my job, I'm not going to be able to pay my bills. I'm not going to be able to, all the things that are really they make it hard for women or men to be able to leave the industry. So talk to us about what you do and
Yeah,
how you
well,
help people.
my friend Abby Johnson, another former abortion worker, when she left the industry, she thought there will be more like me. There has to be more like me, right? Willing to leave that industry. So she started this ministry to help abortion workers leave the ministry. Today, it's over 675 of us that are part of this ministry, right?
Wow.
That have decided not only to leave the industry, but to be pro life, right? Which is what this ministry means. Why? Because when people call and say, hey, I want to leave today, but I'm going to have to pay my bills and I don't know how I'm going to do it. We jump in and say, you're not alone. Just like many women that say, I do want to have my baby, but I don't know how. Yet again, we prove that actually when you give people the choice, the actual real choice of doing something else, people take it, right? That's why I'm not alone in this movement. 675 of us. I actually tonight will be giving a talk in Mesa, Arizona with Dr. Levantino, who performed hundreds of abortions in the past, and today it's a pro-life doctor, right?
Wow.
So it's not only medical assistants or directors, it's actually doctors that have also become pro-life, right? That
Wow.
say, like, I used to kill babies, now I work for babies, I work to save lives. Why it's so important? uh, uh, Having a ministry that understands the trauma of an abortion worker, it's really important. It's like the addict. If you put an addict through healing process and they come out and they don't go back to a community that will be walking with them in Christ, or will be walking with them
Mhm.
faithfully and walking them through a different path, they'll go back to drugs. We know that. We have seen that. We have heard that,
Yes.
right? The
Mhm.
surroundings have to change for people to be able to actually change. Same thing with the abortion industry. Even when people don't understand how that could work, I'm just going to give you a quick example. When I
Yeah.
have left the industry, Lynn have taken me to get emotional healing and spiritual healing. Literally 3 weeks later, another abortionist offered me a job. Most people will be like, but you have already seen the damage. You're right. But the desperation in humanity the
Yeah.
ego, right? The selfishness of I need to eat, so I need a job, would have gotten the best out of me all over again, just like it happens to other people in other industries, right? And then
Yeah.
you go back to do the same thing you were doing because it's right here, right?
Yeah.
And that's how the devil works, right? So
Yeah.
this ministry makes sure that they find a place for them to be like, I don't need to do that again because I know I have my tribe. That's what we call ourselves. And we will come out of this together. Try to help them find a job. So my job is to take this ministry globally to other parts of the world, just like you did with Don't Mess with Our Kids, right? Try to take this to other parts of the world and help abortion workers leave the industry in other parts of the world, since it has been so successful here in the United States already.
Yeah. So it's
Amazing.
holistic. It's holistic care because you're providing them community, you're providing them the spiritual process, the discipleship, and you're providing them the practical resources. So wow, this is
Yeah.
amazing.
And before we're done today, can you tell the story about Lynn? About didn't she noticed that you didn't come to work, right? So
Yes.
tell me about that, and how she responded to that.
So when I called my supervisor 3 days later, they fired me, right? And then I stopped showing to work. And she was like, remember, I told you I was the first one after her, of course, right? And then she's like, wait, she didn't show up, right? I always say, who does that? Who worries about the abortion director? Lynn does, right? She got worried that I didn't come to work because she was like, she's always here. That's weird. She's always here. What could have happened? So a friend of mine stopped by to look for me and went in and asked. And then they told her, oh, she no longer works here. So she told Lynn, she doesn't work here. What do you mean? Something must have happened because that woman was dedicated, right? That's all she remembered, right? She worked 7 days a week. She was always here. Um, One way or the other, we got each other's information. We got a hold of each other. I called her. She invited me to lunch. I actually say yes because I was feeling so lost and so angry that I knew that I needed someone to talk to, right? And I didn't know she was going to be the solution, but just having someone to talk to was just a plus, right? She took me out to lunch and immediately says, can I take you to get some spiritual healing? I said, yes, please. So she's been by my side. I call her my angel, my guardian angel. She's been by my side. Today she knows that I met her in 2000 when I came to apply for a job. And since that day, she said, I'll be praying for you. She never stopped. Some days maybe she didn't know who she was praying for, but they've been able to be the answer of her prayer 17 years later after all that hard work from her. It's amazing to know that someone dedicated such a long time to you, to your healing, but to save your soul. You know what I mean? Like, thanks to her, my soul has been saved.
Wow.
That is amazing.
Well, and every single person connected to your life that you are transforming is connected to Lynn. It's like multiplication through you, but it was that ripple effect, that domino, like tipping one domino and then here it goes. So that's so, so amazing. I'm like tearing up over the thought of what Lynn did and is doing. But why don't you just share with us any last thoughts, or Jenny, do you
Yeah.
have any?
Oh, I was just thinking about when I got to
questions?
meet Lynn in Arizona, and there she was holding her sign. And I said,
And she's
"You
80,
just-"
right? Did we say that?
She's 80, and we're in hot weather. And, I said, wow, you're really incredible. Like, I want to be like you when I grow up. Like, what in the world? And she just said, well, I'm, been doing this for 50 years now. She goes, I'm not quitting now, and there she was, just humble and a servant of the Lord. And so I'm thinking about people who have been standing on sidewalks praying for people in Planned Parenthood, or people that have had abortions. I think this episode is so incredibly important to share and to get out, because there's so many parts to abortion that I guess my eyes are open to today. The people praying, the people having the abortion, the people performing the abortion, the people who are selling the abortion but have never really seen what that looks like. Like, there's just a lot more layers to this than I understood. So this has been amazing. Did you have any other questions, Shauna? I know that we're coming down to the
Yeah.
nitty gritty.
I didn't. I just thought maybe you'd have any last thoughts and then you could pray for us. But I do want to take the opportunity, since you are aligned with Abby Johnson's ministry. If you have not seen the movie Unplanned, I'm just speaking to our audience right now. You've got to see that movie. It will absolutely open your eyes to a lot of the different parts and people that are being affected by the industry. It's not just the babies, it's the women having the abortions, it's the women and men that work in the industry. And it's a very, very important movie. I think we all need to see.
Well, if that shock you, wait until our documentary is coming up
Okay.
this late summer, early fall, called "Unthinkable" by Abby Johnson, and it's a
Good.
testimony of over 55 former abortion workers, including doctors. So, I can't wait for people to see that,
Wow.
not because it's pretty, but because it's reality of abortion. Uh, First of all, I want to thank you for having me in your podcast. I admire all the work you've been doing. You know, I'm here to support anything you guys do. We're partners. We're Mamaverse, right? We're here to. I know I did. I told you when you were here in Phoenix, I cannot undo the damage I've done to women, to families, to a society. All I can do is keep fighting for the future children, right? All the children, born and unborn. Keep fighting for women so they know the truth about abortion, you know, and prevent them from going through that damage, right? And that includes the people that work in that industry, not only the abortion workers. So we would like to pray for them, you know, including our legislators. You know, why not Kamala Harris, that it's right now going through our country promoting something that has caused so much damage to women. You know, praying for anyone who thinks that abortion's okay is what I would like to do, you know. And
Wonderful.
if you don't mind, we'll close with that, right?
Yes.
Dear God, we ask you to please work through the hearts and minds of everyone that sees that abortion is okay, and make them understand that that is the pivotal of our society. That because of abortion, everything is shifting to the negative side, and people can see that the wrongdoings are wrongdoings. If you can please heal the hearts of everyone that has been involved in the abortion industry, a friend that drove her friend to get harmed, a friend that drove her friend and now she has to deal with a friend broken and a baby missing. Please, God, help them all and help the people at the abortion working ministry to hear our message and come to the other side. Tell them they have a tribe here. In God's name, thank you.
Amen. Amen. Thank you so much, Myra. You are amazing. You're a
Oh,
world
thank you.
changer. You're a world changer, and you've inspired us greatly. And keep up the
Thank
fight
you.
of faith. Keep going. Keep going. We're absolutely with you. And we can't wait for this broadcast to go out and share this with a lot
Oh,
of people.
it will be amazing. We will do amazing things together. I already got your mom. Like, we're doing
Yes,
this. So
that's
many things
right.
coming up. We're walking, knocking, everything.
Yeah, Mama Debbie. Well, just for our listeners, so they have context to this. So we have different states that we started state prayer hub directors, and the battleground states were the first ones prioritized. So Arizona came up, and the Lord told me, ask your mom. You know, my mom's 70 this year, but she is just starting her new season in life. She's getting after it. She's setting up booths. She's going and meeting people. And I'm just thinking, man, God does. He sent Caleb at 85 years old
Yeah.
to fight. You know, he does crazy things through people that are a little bit older. In fact, maybe I'm saying this for some people listening, but you know what? Sam Walton started Walmart when he was, I think, over 60 years old. Bob's Red Mill right here in town in Portland. Him and his wife started that in retirement because they were bored. You know, you look at what God wants to do later in life. And I just want to say to some people, you know, no matter where you've been and what you've experienced and maybe the sin that all of us have been in, you know, Jesus always has his destiny available to us, and he's not done with anybody listening. He's not done. And there might be some people listening here that say, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to dedicate one day a month or one day a week, and I'm going to stand on the sidewalk at Planned Parenthood, and I'm going to, with love in my eyes and with compassion, I'm going to speak to people. I'm going to say, I'm praying for you. How can I pray for you? You don't have to go in there. You know, I feel like there's some people listening that have actually wanted to do this. They just needed the nudge. And so we just thank you, Lynn. I hope you're listening to this. You've inspired us greatly. And thank you so much, Myra. God bless you, my friend. And we'll see you really soon.
Thank you so much for all you do. I will share with Lynn.
All right. Sounds great. Well, that's been absolutely incredible. This conversation touched me so much when I met her in Arizona, of course. But I think that I was the most impacted by the fact that she had been, walking past Lynn every day or how many ever days, that Lynn was standing there, which was a lot, for 16 years. And just her really believing, like you said, Shauna, that she was doing something absolutely positive for women. And so we don't look at people with eyes of judgment. We don't judge people and say, wow, you're just so evil. No, we understand that deception is a real thing. We understand that the enemy blinds us to things, and he recruits us, for his work on the earth. But there are people that are absolutely a great exodus to the industry of abortions. And so we just pray for every person on here. If you've been engaged in abortion, whether that be driving your friend or encouraging your friend or encouraging your daughter to have an abortion, please understand that the blood of Jesus is not like Lysol or Clorox. It's not killing 99.9% of sin. It is a pure, thorough cleansing agent. It cleanses 100% of sin. And when you come before God and you just say, I'm so sorry for being used of the devil, I'm so sorry. And Shauna, you've done that. I've done that. I was used of the devil. And here's the thing, is that when we repent, we come before God and we ask for his just pure forgiveness. He gives it to us. He lavishes his cleansing on us as he cleanses our heart. He begins to cleanse us from the pain and the grief of those things. And he gives us a path to our destiny. And he uses our lives greatly for good. So nobody's at a loss here. We know that God has great plans for you. So thank you so much for joining Don't Mess with Our Kids. Do not forget to share this episode. Share it on your social media. Share it with friends, because there are many people out there will not hear this unless you share it with them, and it could potentially change their life. All right, everybody. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you next time.